everyone, and welcome to our County of Newell regular council meeting for August the 6th, 2026. I see that we're all present here, so no one needs to be excused from the meeting. We do have adoption of the minutes of the July 24th meeting. Are there any errors or omissions for those minutes, or subsequently a motion to approve them as circulated? Councillor Chrisman moves to approve the July 24th minutes. All in favor of that, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Are there any post-agenda items that we need to add this morning? We do have, just for information, we'll start with our Ag Service Board update right away, right at the start of the meeting here, and then we have an 11 o'clock appointment with our RCMP corporals, and then or sergeants, and then a public hearing at 11:30, and that's the only scheduled meetings we have. But is there a motion to approve the agenda as circulated? Councillor Neil Johnson, all in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Are there any questions or any notices of motion? No questions in the electronic media, no notices of motion, so I'm going to suggest that we move right to item number 10.1, our Ag Service Board update, and welcome Catherine. Good morning.
Good morning. How's them well today? All right, just a quick update, not too much for you guys, but so first pass for roadside mowing is almost done. So we should be wrapping up early next week or middle of next week. We're going to keep an eye on conditions. If the hot weather continues, we may have to consider doing fire watch. So we'll keep an eye on that. Riverwalk program finished last week, went smooth and took around 8 days. Found a fair amount of tansy, toadflax, and burdock. Found very little scentless chamomile. And I wanted to add, it's a win in my eyes, because when I was a summer employee, we picked about 5 tons of chamomile every year. So I think this is a huge win. Spraying crew is still busy trying to get caught up. End of the month, we'll be focusing on milkweed and thistle spraying. Mowing crew is working away. Grass is starting to slow down, so we have been able to stay caught up and keep everything looking a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So it's nice to see. Hamlets look really great. Surveys to complete in August are swath canola survey, wheat survey, and grasshopper survey. We did our visual club root survey a couple weeks ago, and we still need to go out and check the flag fields that look suspicious for club root. So that'll be on next week's agenda. Bacterial ring rot survey was completed this week. There was no concerns with that. Pasture Power Up was yesterday. Event took place in Patricia in partnership with Foothills Forage and Grazing Association, Corteva and Enview, which are chemical companies. So they did some trials and showed chemical residual and how that is great for your pastures and controlling weeds. And the drills are still staying busy. So, and that's about all I got.
Good to hear. Thank you. Are there questions? What was the attendance yesterday at the?
I think last I had reported with Austin, it was about 27 people. So okay. They were happy with that because it went from like 10 people to 27. So okay, yeah. Good.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson, go ahead.
Good morning. With the results of the trials from the Pasture Power Up, is that going to be made public or shared in any way or form?
Yeah, it definitely can be. I don't think it's anything that I can get Austin to do up a report on that. So.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Almost too easy. Thank you for the report, Catherine. Thanks. With that, let's move to item number 11.1, the tax sale of public by public auction. Shannon, welcome this morning.
Okay, so this is something I bring typically every year because we always end up with some on the tax sale. But the schedule just lists the properties. Yeah, and I'm looking for a motion to set the date that I suggested and the reserve bids on those properties.
thank you. Setting the date for November the 19th, right? Are there questions before we have a motion? Go ahead, Councillor Chrisman and then Councillor Johnson.
My question, Shannon, is on the Schedule A, we have a Dixon subdivision.
Yep.
Is that supposed to say a Modo subdivision?
No, I believe there is a Dixon subdivision. I'm horrible at those names. I can follow up and send you a
Maybe
map.
just check that because it says it's on Highway 550, so,
Okay, yeah, I can follow up on that with you.
well, before it goes public, I would
Yeah.
hate it to be misrepresented.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Johnson.
I was just curious about a lot that did not sell last year. So is it a regular process to obtain title to that land, or is it a more complicated one given it's a tax sale?
Like, we have the option to take title. We don't have to exercise that. And so every situation is a little bit different. Like, sometimes if it goes through tax sale, but the people are still there, then it's like we've done where we've worked with them and they've got it paid and we reverted it back. Sometimes we just take title and then we try to sell it after. There never is one property the same, and so you have a standard one, right? This one we are, I believe we're going to look at taking the title on the one from last year. But yeah, just every property is kind of a little bit different.
Okay, thank you. Any, Councillor Johnson, follow-up? Or yeah.
I'd just like to move option 1.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion? Any further comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you, Shannon. Municipal Affairs Engagement. Matt, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Council. Wanted to highlight an opportunity for you as individual councillors to weigh in with respect to the design of the new Councillor Accountability Framework, which will be coming out in the regulations. I have attached for your information the news headline from RMA, as well as a discussion guide which was shared from the province to kind of get the thoughts going on how you might provide feedback to the province. If you wish to participate, you need to have your thinking and writing done by August 14th, and we've provided the email address that you would send that to. So just information purposes and encouraging councillors to weigh in, influence the rules of the game that you're going to be held accountable to.
Okay, thank you. Are there any reason to discuss that? It's just a matter of information, unless someone has a comment that they want to add to it, eh? And I guess there's still opportunity for that informally as you want to. We can talk to each other about it if we're so inclined by August 14th, eh? Okay. Thank you, Matt. Excuse me, Rural Municipalities of Alberta, RMA Fall 2026 Convention, slated for November 2nd to 5th. Ariana, I'm sorry. You have got some suggestions and want to find out from us, I guess, with regard to which ministries we would like to visit with, if any, right?
That is correct. It's good to get your requests in early.
I would like to suggest that we meet with the Minister of Transportation and what's the rest of that title? Corridors, economic corridors. I think in regard to we have got some paving projects that have tentatively or been approved. It would be good to have a visit with him if we get that opportunity, I think. Go ahead, Councillor Chrisman.
And just a reminder, Ariana, that I won't need a room, okay?
Councillor Johnson.
I'd like to suggest a meeting with the new Minister of Agriculture, Tara Sawyer, to talk about CDC South, water, and all things agriculture.
Okay, that's good. Councillor Neil Johnson.
Yeah, being that data centers are front and center and all the talk going on, I think and the chance for possible windfall from him. I think it's important we meet with Minister of Technology.
Which would be Minister Glubish at this point, right?
He is now, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
What would you like to talk with him about? Because last time we got a fairly in-depth speech from him on data centers, so I'm just wondering.
Well, I think
what
the
title?
province has spent probably millions of dollars setting up the data center revolution that will probably come. And I think he needs all the support he can get from a friendly council once in a while. And I hope that we are maybe that council. Just a PR mission, that's all.
I think that's probably reasonable, but also to add to that, at our meeting last fall, I think there was some discussion about engaging with their concierge service. Is that, do you have that's happening? Is there opportunity for an update at some point prior to the fall meeting, or even in, I think that might be useful for us to hear about that, and there might be something to follow up relative to that, maybe, eh? If it's going well, that's good enough too. That's good for him to hear that. Councillor Holly Johnson, go ahead.
I can't remember who suggested this to me, but they said we should suggest a tour of K Division in Edmonton. It's really cool to see the facility. So don't know if there's interest around that, but they said we should go look at it.
A tour of K Division. So I guess that's something that if council wants, we could inquire about having a tour, say on the Monday morning or something like that, eh?
Yes, the idea that we're up there anyway, so make the most of our time. Arno, you had suggested the council tour a hydrogen facility there. So just looking at some, or was it the U of A you suggested? I can't remember, but just, maybe we can expand our time up there to look at some things that might be beneficial for our council as well.
Actually, both of those things, the hydrogen facility at Edmonton Transit and also the fuel cell vehicle that they have running at the Alberta Motor Transport Association yard, which is very close to Edmonton. Edmonton Transport's Ellerslie yard is pretty accessible to us, and so maybe those are things we should inquire about. And that's a spin-off from the Penwar meetings. The other thing that I think, and I don't have anything specific on this, but I think it would be maybe interesting for us to see what we could see at U of A. I think there's some interesting, fairly technical projects going on there and let's just say we'll review and see what we found out, or what Penwar looked at like there, and maybe we could see some of that when we're up there too. I think that would be kind of interesting, because I didn't go on the U of A tour, but it was quite interesting to the group that did. So I think anything like that can broaden our understanding of what's going on is good. Go ahead, Councillor Chrisman.
And just to remind you that EOEP courses will be going on Monday.
Right.
So, I mean, it would be kind of us if we didn't overlap. That's all I'm saying, because that takes some people away from their learning opportunity.
Right, and I don't think I think at best we're providing options, right? I don't think what we would do there would be mandatory for anyone as the EOIP. So I think we can look to try to facilitate as many schedules as we want. That's a good advice. Anything else with regard to RMA? We'll follow up on some details on that as we go along. Okay, thank you. We don't need any action there. Motion, do we? Or 11.4, sorry, councillor payment sheets. Any conversation around that or questions, or a motion to approve the councillor payment sheets as presented? Councillor Screever?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Councillor Chrisman, go ahead.
I do have a question. And I'm going to hold it, but remind me, I have a question from the compensation committee, so I will talk to them individually.
Okay,
Right?
thank you. Yep. Did we vote on that? We did. Right, thank you. Requests, I have a good memory, but it's short sometimes. Requests for functions of council. Are there any requests for functions of council in August? Councillor Chrisman, go ahead, please.
I would just like to ask about the museum tea tomorrow. I did reply that I would attend. It's in honor of the famous five. Sorry, not tomorrow, Saturday, you're right.
At the Brooks Museum?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm just asking, I mean, I can certainly donate my time. I'd be happy to receive mileage to come representing the county, but
Thank you, go ahead.
answer to my
Carrie Ann,
question.
yes.
I can just add to that. I just got a message that apparently there is an MLA coming. They didn't specify whether it's our MLA, I would assume, but they've asked the representatives if they want to say a few words. So the city's sending a councillor, and Kelly is going to attend.
You are attending, so get your speechwriter ready. Yeah. Right. Go ahead, Councillor Johnson.
I guess it's not a function of council. I'd like to make that motion that it becomes a function of council.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Councillor Holly Johnson.
I'm not sure it fits here, but Ben sent or forwarded a notice, I'm not sure what it was, about the health gala in September and purchasing a table. And we filled a table last year, and it was Adina, myself, and two former councillors, and it was a really nice evening. So I don't know if this is where you want to talk about it, Arno, or not. Just wondering.
It would certainly be appropriate, sure. I think there's been informal conversation about it, and we're aware of it. So what is the date again?
September 26th. And yes, last year they filled up, and she said this year there's not so much interest in it, but yeah, she's doing that for the purpose of just being involved, so.
I think that's a good idea. Is there direction with regard to that? I'd certainly be interested in attending. Go ahead, Councillor Johnson.
I would make a motion that the county purchase a table for the evening.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of that motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. And we can decide on the details of filling that table closer to the date, right, in our September meeting. Okay. Any other functions of council? Councillor Baumgarten.
I'm just curious about the Lacombe tour we did at CDC. Would that qualify?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's no need for a motion on that. Yeah. Any other functions of council? Seeing none, let's move on to our municipal services business. And why don't we take 5 minutes and come back? Unless you're good to go, we can delay the 5-minute break and welcome our Director of Municipal Services, Mr. Mark Harbert. Welcome.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
I got to get to the right part of things aren't in order that I had it in. Sorry. Municipal Services Report. Municipal Enforcement, 23 warnings, 64 tickets, over 73 investigations. Just want to remind Council, some of that was the enforcement on Highway 873 at Township Road 19-2. In the same breath, I'll say that that intersection is open for traffic. The access, I shouldn't call it an access, I shall call it an exit from the JBS Canada plant, is not open yet. We are deferring that entry. Jeff is away on approved absence, vacation, And until he's back, we're going to keep that closed so that he can make sure that everybody at JBS is ready to open up as they need to from their site to our road on the new exit. Bicycle patrols, the guys have been out and about. The Kinbrook connection pathway, the busiest section is obviously from Kinbrook Island coming south to Bantry Bay, because there are a lot of campers, RVers and stuff out there using that in their endeavor to get out of the park and explore our great region and take advantage of that. That said, I will also let council know we are still missing our trailhead map signs and our information signs. We're waiting for things under the contract to be resolved with the sign bases, with getting defects repaired before we put the signs on. And then those will be up. So we're getting close, but I hope we were done that, but we're not. So if anybody's getting any questions or taking note that there is no map on the trailhead sign, it is not just a rusty trailhead thing. There will be a full color map with distances and things on that base when time arrives. Bike rodeo was held at the Duchess Library in the month of July. And fleet services, well, we finally got our new gravel truck, plow truck in service. You know, that was an 18-month delivery plus some upfitting time on our staff to get it in service. So it's on the road, so the old truck is being disposed of. And we made the decision this year that the tracked excavator that has very few hours on it in the past 5 years go for disposal. So it is through a reseller and working with them to make that happen. Operations, grader operators. Well, we went from a month of rain to a month of nothing but heat and dryness, and now we got dust, we got washboard, we got everything else. So we're getting the best of both, I guess I'll call it. It's a no-win situation for operations. If we would have a day's rain once a week and control the dust and keep the moisture in the road bed, we'd maybe have some wins, but they're doing their best out there with what is there. Dust and washboard being the prevalent things, particularly around intersections with the washboard. Grader operators, Division 4, Electoral Division 4, we continue working on those rainier roads. That ridge pull to get that watershed off the road surface, that is not a single step process. That is like a 4-step process to make it happen. I was out there late last week, met the grader operator. I believe that was his second pass across that road. Any of the vegetation that is in that, it's drying out, it's getting beat up, it's blowing off the road whenever we have wind. It was just funny that when we go out and do the ridge pull, we had no wind for about a week. So what do you know? Public opinion is one thing. This is the process. We're using a gentleman, contracted service. He was a grader operator for 35 plus years. He's gone into the educational side. He is the one that has been out there with our operators, coaching, mentoring, and ensuring that we are doing it the most appropriate way. So we are relying on that expertise to guide us through the process and get our staff educated. And that is the same gentleman through his service that we've been using for the past 5 years in training our grader operators. So hope that instills a little bit of confidence in council. Public opinion is something completely different. So truck drivers, annual road graveling, resurfacing, they're 45% complete. Some of them like to take their vacation over the August period, but we're on track to have everything done as per end of September as usual. No issues or concerns with any of that. Our seasonal laborers, obviously we're into August now. They're going to start leaving us, departing for their future endeavors and education and stuff. But for the better part, it looks like they're here until the end of August this year, or as late as they can stay with us before they have to move themselves off to education purposes. Gem Gravel Pit Access Road, talked at the regular meeting of council July 24th. Administration has engaged the engineer to proceed with getting the engineered design and construction costs with that before bringing it back to yourselves to determine where we go with that. Already spoke about the JBS Canada Road. Just want to highlight, we have coordinated, sent the email to Honorable Danielle Smith, Premier of MLA, Brooks Medicine Hat, to try to find a date for grand opening. Seems like late September may be an opportunity, but that schedule is even full right now, so we will do our best to do what we need to do for her. Township Road 19-2 shoulder pulls in progress, and other shoulder pull programs in the 2026 will roll after that. What else we got? Texas gate agreements. I want to highlight this one for all of you because there's lots of them out there. We are in the final checks with adjacent landowners and third-party companies that may have ownership over those Texas gates with the deadline of August 15th. Been a little bit of pushback, a little bit, nope, not taking accountability for, well, then we're gonna rip it out, we're gonna put the road base back in, and she's gonna be a road and people are gonna have to fence the property. That's what's gonna have to happen, because I don't believe the county should be responsible, the taxpayer, for Texas gates that aren't there for any purpose of the municipality. It's for private landowners. So any of those Texas gates with an unsigned agreement are going to be identified for removal this fall, and we will get things in place. And believe me, everybody has been communicated with that is an adjacent landowner, because we took the bubble outside of that Texas gate, and everybody there got notified to determine who is going to take ownership for this. And in some cases, nobody's stepping up to the plate on it. EID's been consulted, as many of them are theirs, and CNRLs and stuff like that with other landowners. So we've done well with it. I just want to reassure council, everybody has been engaged and communicated within this process. So if you hear anything, I'll gladly take the feedback, but if they're not reaching out to the department where the notices were sent, we're getting to the point where we're beyond the point of return.
Thanks. Councillor Johnson, go ahead.
So these are Texas gates that are on road allowances?
Yes.
And are some of them major roads, or it's all more side roads?
On,
like what?
on our maintained road list, absolutely. Yeah. And really, other than that, I just want to point to council the municipal load report. Just going to highlight that we're hitting some of our all-time lows in the 5-year trend. 107 permits issued in February of 2026, followed by this month of 115 in June. I don't have my July update yet. The next lowest was 116 in 2021, 119 in 2024, and 120 in 2022. The loads moving through our region are slowing significantly, and I hope that that's not the trend that we see, because it's usually indicative of what's happening industry-wise with oil and gas sector. But I think we all kind of know what's going on there, and hopefully we see a turnaround in that. But that's why you're looking to diversify and have more in the economy in our region to drive value for our taxpayers. Thanks, Mark.
Councillor Johnson?
I'm just curious how those permits are policed. Some days I can pass 2 or 3 wide loads going down 36. It seems to me that there is still a fair bit of traffic, so I'm just wondering how those permits are issued and monitored.
Yeah, I'm not looking at Highway 36. I'm looking throughout our region, but everything is done through the permitting window, and in our case, we use Road Data Services for those permits. Anybody looking to move throughout the region needs an annual road use agreement with us that identifies the terms and conditions. Don't be moving when it's raining. Don't be doing this because of road damages and stuff. Generally, we work with everybody as to how urgent they need to move. We don't want the economy being slowed in our region, but we also don't want $1 million repair fix, right? But those are just the statistics that I monitor monthly, and we're trending at the very bottom of everything in that 5-year summary. So, and that's my report. If there's any other questions.
Thank you. Mark, Councillor Kopp, please.
Just a comment that maybe the copious amounts of moisture we had in June might have been indicative to why that was so low too.
And that very well could be. It's interesting, the fluctuations of industry and whatnot, but they usually get their permits, and we're not holding anything up generally. So, but it could be. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Screever, and then Councillor Hofer.
Yeah, thanks for the report. This data for the large loads, is it also like rig moves and things like that? Is that included with those?
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Hofer.
Is there a process the county and Newell can do for the purpose of that JBS access road there, like a traffic count of some sort, just to make sure that, you know, we're not holding up industry traffic by the UFA there for the purpose of coming in and out of there? There seems to be a lot of traffic now. I don't know what it's going to be like. Maybe if we can get some data to bring to the Minister for Transportation, if we did get a meeting with him at the RMA to get focus on putting lights up there or something.
We can take a peek at that and see. Part of my process in Jeff's absence has been talking with the engineers to make sure that as the intersection's been open and stuff, that everything appears to be adequate, and we're in a monitoring phase right now. We're not out there doing traffic counts because we haven't opened the JBS exit out of the plant to determine what 873 is going to look like. And that was a little bit strategic as well, that let's let Highway 873 traffic and existing traffic on 19.2 make their adjustments to the new turning lanes and merge lanes and stuff before we throw shift change in on top of that mix. So, but I'll throw that on the list for Jeff and team to consider.
You may, excuse me, you may be commented on it, but is there a time frame for the access out of JBS to be used?
Middle of August is what we're looking at, around the 17th perhaps, but I want Jeff to get back from his leave and make sure he's consulting with our peers at JBS that everybody's ready and that they've gone through their education process with their staff, because it is an exit only, and there are signs up there right now saying do not enter, so it's a one-way out to improve that hour and 45-minute delay they were experiencing trying to get out of the plant.
Yeah. Thank you. I missed, who's got Councillor Chrisman, please?
Thanks, Mark. On that same topic, is it 2 lanes out?
It is 1 lane out. What we built the road to was 6 meters, so that if anybody had any motor vehicle problems, they could get over to the side and pull off safely while everybody still had free flow coming out. There is a stop left turn only onto Township Road 19.2, taking you east towards the city of Brooks to the north overpass. That's the direction they'll be forced to go.
And it'll be signed that way?
It is signed that way.
So it will be enforceable?
And our enforcement officers are going to be very well aware of when it opens, and they will be out there educating and enforcing as necessary.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? Excuse me, seeing none. Thank you, Mark. Do we have a motion to accept the Director of Municipal Services report, Councillor Holly Johnson? All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thanks, Mark. We don't have any post-agenda items. I take note, or draw your attention to the information items. And it is 10:30. And we've moved through much of our agenda. Can we move up to item number, oh, go ahead. You go in camera. Okay, Councillor Holly Johnson, you had a comment or a question?
I had a couple questions about the payment register, but that can certainly wait. We can go in camera.
Okay, we've just discussed going in camera. Is there a motion that we move in camera? Councillor Hofer, thank you. All in favor that we move in camera? That is carried. Thank you. And I'm I would like to welcome Sergeant Harms and Sergeant Schmidt to present our RCMP update. Thank you for coming in. Welcome. Sorry we're a little late this morning for our scheduled time, but
thanks for having us. This could be a little bit interesting for me because I didn't bring my glasses today, so bear with me. And if you see me leaning into Joe to ask him to read something, that would be why that is. Yeah, exactly. Do you want me to start, or would you like to start, Joe?
No,
okay.
You're the bigger fish.
Take that different ways, but okay. So I'll be making reference to our April, May, June report that we submitted, which we're referring to as the second quarter report. And I'm just going to breeze through some of it. There is a lot of data there, but bear with me. Turns out the quarter was somewhat busier for us than the previous quarter. We had a total of 493 calls for service and events, basically files that were generated in that quarter. That's actually an increase of 91 from the previous quarter. So a little bit of an uptick in busyness. We conducted 1,645 rural patrols. There's 138 criminal record checks done, and 137 violation tickets were written. Our community engagement and transparency continues to be a priority. We did 43 media releases, 9 presentations with the public, and we did 15 various types of different public engagements. Moving along in the report, I just want to make reference to the staffing section. The Brooks Detachment has a total of 29 positions, including municipal and provincial. And of those 29 positions, 6 are provincial. We actually have quite a bit of staffing movement right now, and what I mean by that is members leaving and incoming members. My report says this has affected or impacted 3 provincial positions. In fact, that's an error. It's 2 provincial positions. But just to give you an example, we had one of our corporals, Shelley Harrigan, retire after a very long and successful career. So she has moved along, and we congratulate her. And we also congratulate an existing member at Brooks Detachment who was Constable Rob McCready. He has actually been selected and promoted into her position. So we filled her position internally, and that is now with Corporal Rob McCready. We have another member right now that he's actually working today, Constable. He's going to be gone in a couple days. So sad to see him go and see that experience go. But with that said, we had a cadet basically backfill his position quite some time ago, and that cadet is up and running and has plugged that hole, so to speak. So we're sitting good, and we're sitting flush with the staffing on the provincial side. I want to make reference to some noteworthy events. And in doing so in my quarter report, I only summarized the June events. I'm going to just make reference to some previous submissions, first starting with the April report that I previously submitted. I'm just going to touch on this. Our property crimes have been up and down in the rural areas. Point number 3 on that report just talked about several break and enters, and I think there's a total of 4 that I highlighted. Just to give you an example of what's going on, April 13th, there was a break and enter to an oil treatment facility east of Tilly. A TV was stolen. April 16th, there was a break and enter to an oil battery site northeast of Tilly by 2 masked men who cut through the fencing and gained access, stealing various items and copper between the values of $5,000 and $10,000. April 17th, there was a report from an employee of a gas company regarding batteries stolen from a site in the county. April 18th, we responded to a break and enter call at an oil field site on Range Road 152, where again the front gate had been forced open. Suspects entered the site and stole a variety of items, and we actually learned that 2 other sites were also hit. And the big thing stolen there was copper wire. So that was back in April. In May, we actually launched a crime reduction operation in response to things like this. including thefts of copper wire from center pivots and so on. And that was quite a big operation, and it involved units of the different units of the RCMP, including from our Southern Alberta District Crime Reduction Unit, the Brooks Detachment Crime Reduction Unit, Police Dog Services, and our air services. And in fact, we had a helicopter in the air to help us with this operation. And happy to say that on May 28th, as a result of that operation, we took 3 suspects into custody, being a 28-year-old resident of Lethbridge, 24-year-old female from Raymond, and a 34-year-old male of Raymond. And they were found in possession of a bunch of stolen items, including stolen copper. And in fact, we somewhat caught them in the act of committing thefts. So it was a great operation, and we held them accountable, and they've been charged, and those matters are before the court. Moving forward into some June events, again, just to highlight just a couple. Point number 3 on my report makes reference to an RCMP patrol boat assisting boaters. Happy ending to this one. I'm very happy to say that. But on June 19th, we received 911 call about a stranded boat that was adrift on Lake Newell. It contained 3 youths. They'd suffered an engine malfunction and needed some assistance there, which we obliged and we went and did that, towed them to shore. Noteworthy on this was they had limited safety equipment on board, and also of the 3 cell phones, all 3 cell phones were about to die. So hats off to them. They figured that out right away and kept 2 cell phones shut off while they kept one on. And when that battery died, they were prepared to start the next cell phone and stuff like that. But we put some messaging out to the public, about being prepared, when you're out on the lakes and when you're out boating. And we've also conducted a handful of boat patrols on the Rolling Hills Reservoir and on Lake Newell. And in doing so, we made 20 different contacts with boaters, swimmers, people on paddle boards. And in doing so, we issued 6 warnings to people for equipment violations, and in one case for alcohol violations. So it's important that we get out there and continue those patrols, which we will do. And with that said, it's also important to point out there's a lot of boaters that are doing a lot of things right and fully compliant. So we very much appreciate that. The last thing I'm going to touch on for significant incidents, point number 5, we responded to a suspicious persons call on June 21st. This was from a county resident on the area of Highway 875 near Range Road 180. And it was in regards to a suspicious person seen walking through different properties. We attended. We found a 40-year-old male from Calgary that was doing just that. And we actually wound up taking him into custody as we found that he was breaching some court orders. The officers spread out and actually found a parked vehicle nearby with a second person in it. That was a 49-year-old male from Strathmore. That individual had warrants out for their arrest, and they were taken into custody as well. So very happy to say that we removed those 2 people. Not sure exactly what they were up to, but it probably wasn't good. And I commend the public for phoning us and notifying us of suspicious, not only a suspicious person, but something just didn't sit right to them. So it's always good to receive those calls. Going into the tail end of my report, I'm just going to talk about point number 2 under other messaging. We have recently rolled out an RPAS program, which stands for Remotely Piloted Aircraft System. In other words, a drone. The Brooks Detachment now has a drone. We have 1 officer, Sergeant Searle, trained in the operation of that drone. We're currently training other officers, and that's going to be a great addition to the detachment. It's going to supplement policing in so many different ways, including search and rescue, documenting collision scenes, searching for suspects, crime reduction initiatives, and so on. So we're really proud to say that we have that program in place now. We always get concerned from the public. Does that mean I'm going to find your drone hovering over my backyard and photographing and viewing what's back there? Absolutely not. I want the public to know that we're guided by very stringent policy and legal requirements in how we use that. So that is not the purpose of it at all, but it will be an excellent supplement to the detachment and to our policing model. Last thing I'm going to touch on is the last part of my report. I've included a number of attachments in my report. I'm not going to go through them. I will point out the first one is called the CPP report, Community Priorities Plan. It's a bit of a lengthy document, but it basically just highlights what our policing priorities are in Brooks and a bit of a synopsis on where we're at with addressing those priorities. If there's any questions with that, I'd be happy to answer those afterwards. But I just want to be transparent and show what we're doing there. And lastly, some crime gauges and statistics are included in the report. Basically, we're seeing a 30% decrease in total criminal code from January to June of this year compared to the same time period last year. And in fact, a 29% decrease in total criminal code in this quarter compared to the last quarter of last year. The only other thing I want to point out is we recently received our crime severity index scores for all communities. That is not included in this report, and perhaps I'll submit it in the next report. And of course, that's referenced as CSI. The CSI score for the rural area in the Brooks detachment area is 46.4. The overall provincial score is 90.6. So we're well below that provincial score, which I use as a benchmark and I think is a good benchmark. So very, very happy to see that. Also noteworthy, even though we're at a much lower than the provincial score, it is an increase from last year or the previous CSI score, which was 31.6. So it did come up a bit. So just wanted to point that out. And in the next report, I'll include that full CSI report. I think that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Are there questions? Go ahead, Councillor Screever.
Thanks for the report. Just going back to the drone, there's times, I know I can only say this at the Lake Newell Resort, there are drones that do fly over yards, overhead. Don't know if they're the RCMP one, don't know if it's emergency rescue, don't know anything. What are the rules behind drones in the hamlets? And what, can we fly our drones pretty well anywhere there, or what's the story?
Yeah, great question. And full disclosure, I'm not totally up to date on all the regulations regarding drones. It's my understanding if the drone is under a certain size and weight capacity, it's basically not regulated for the most part. There's no licensing required and so on. If the drones are used for commercial purposes or work purposes, basically, there is a number of regulations and legislation and licensing that applies. As far as the drones that you're seeing in the resort and so on, I'm not sure, whose those would be. I suspect those are privately owned, by people just doing flights with them, so to speak. Most certainly is not our drone. We've done a handful of deployments with ours, but not in that capacity. So hopefully that answers your question somewhat on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Scanner, please.
I know with it being summer and so nice out, there's been a lot of kids out with scooters. I think they're called scooters on the sidewalks. Are you upping any kind of patrolling on that? Because it gets quite, especially at lunchtime, it can get quite dangerous out there with them just scooting around, not paying attention to where the cars are.
Yeah, I think drones, it's fair to say, is kind of a hot topic right now, not only in this community, but in other communities as well. Sorry. Oh, scooters. Sorry. Did I say drones? Yeah. Okay. That's just how my head works, but I am talking about scooters. So, yeah. So,
we thought so.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. But basically, I think there's some messaging coming out from the city, right away about that. Scooters, for the most part, Is it safe to say it's not a real regulated thing? Is that the best way to word
That's the
that?
best way. There's no regulations or laws for as far as helmets, how they ride, where they ride. And there's a big push right now to either get it provincially or federally regulated. It kind of falls under bike laws, but with the speed they can do now, it's kind of a new thing. So there's not a lot of steadfast things. Some communities have come up with bylaws against them, specific for their own communities, I think in anticipation for more stringent laws coming down. But I know Brooks has really been hammering them on the, like, especially with the youth population, the kids, during their bike rodeos. This relates into scooters and that sort of stuff, safety tips, where you can, when you can't. But in all honesty, there is no black and whites on any of this stuff yet. So it's hard to enforce when there's not much to enforce other than safety aspects.
Yeah.
In progress. Yeah, go ahead.
So just to follow up, so you're saying we should probably be talking to our provincial government about forming some regulations as far as scooters, getting some stuff laid down about that?
I would say it'd probably be your best bet, because if there's no consistency unless there's one set of regulations and rules to go by. And like I say, there's so many, because I think at a higher level, there's going to be more onus on manufacturers and stuff to put more kind of regulations and safety hazards and that sort of stuff on these things, because there is no real training. Parents are buying them for their kids, and these, or young people are buying them. I wouldn't fit on one, so there's no chance of me ever getting one. But, they're doing 60 clicks an hour, so there's a lot of damage and a lot of safety implications, and just not a lot of awareness for the consequences that are happening. So we're seeing, as in most other areas, a huge spike in these, especially with the weather, that sort of stuff that's going on, and kids are just kind of freewheeling everywhere and bouncing off cars. So
I will add, the one thing that we're encouraging is, a lot of times it's youth that are on the scooters. We encourage parents to, work with their kids and, have those safety talks on, what's safe and what's not, and how that should be utilized. And, we'll see what develops as far as, if any, on guidelines or regulations, things like that.
Sorry, my mic was off. Thanks for the report. Councillor Johnson.
I just really liked your file count by year color diagram of when things happen, just so we know when we should or shouldn't engage in illegal activities. When's the best time?
Excellent. Okay, thank
it
you.
comes in handy. Everything's color coded now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're kind of trying to hodgepodge the reports a bit to see what everybody likes and doesn't like. So by all means, if you guys have feedback of things you guys do like, let us know, because finally technology is really starting to hit the RCMP now. We're sometimes a little late to the party on that. And so we're getting these new gauges and AI data and that sort of stuff to really help put it together for us. And it kind of lays out that picture, because you were showing me that the other day, like, hey, did you know it did this? I'm like, well, they give us a course on useless stuff, but this is handy. And like, no, I didn't. And it was that chart there that you can pinpoint certain different things. So it's handy for us too. So as far as Bassano goes, in the same quarterly time period, April to June, we were 368 proactive patrols throughout Bassano's jurisdiction, 56 criminal record checks, and 274 calls overall. Notably, out of those, kind of the highest threshold we saw for calls in Bassano was 29 motor vehicle collisions. I think a large part of that was due to kind of the late winter storms that happened. It seemed to be kind of geography specific, but there are some days on the other side of Sundial, Bassano got hit way harder than a lot of other areas, and into that corridor of Clooney and Gleason with the fog and stuff. So we were busy with motor vehicle collisions, but out of all of them, no serious injuries, no fatalities thus far, so knock on wood there. And out of those 30, 11 were deer. So we've seen a significant increase in car versus deer collisions lately. So that seems to be the thing, which June is always kind of the highest marker for that. And we sent out some messaging just for some mitigation factors on that. Kind of the high times and kind of best practices when you do strike a deer, what to do with deer, because we had a lot of abandoned cars that had antlers hanging out of them, things like that, and no drivers, no nothing, and they're creating a hazard by just leaving them on the highway, so. And during that time period, we also saw, similar to Brooks in the rural communities, we saw a significant decline over the previous year in pivot thefts. We only had one that was reported anyways, but a large increase in oil site theft, batteries, cables, wire. And, you know, during this time period, we had such significant weather events. A lot of these sites were, you know, it was full of mud, it was full of this, it was full of that. They were leaving their gates open, power was going down. So I think some of these thieves queued into that and took advantage of it. And we're going in open buildings, open compounds that would normally locked. Full investigations, we had members attend, everyone is Brooks now, because, you know, with our technology, so is our forensic techniques of trying to obtain any kind of physical evidence. And a lot of times there's a bit of misnomer of like, oh, well, we got a fingerprint. Well, a lot of times we don't have enough for charges in those. However, we gain valuable information from that, which parlayed into that operation that we all took part in. Brooks kind of spearheaded catching those pivot thefts guys down there. It's all based off information. Sometimes it's not chargeable, but is very useful for us. And in the big scheme of things, we can very much forward the investigations. So that was kind of the significant events in Bassano. Staffing wise, we're still down one member on paternity leave, and that's till November. We have word that another one's transferring out he's done his time in Bassano, so he's transferring out. So we're actively seeking experienced officers and recruits to fill those voids. Right now we're just doing a lot of sharing, and this is kind of where this unification has been very handy with Brooks, because we're leaning on each other at different times for resources, and we're getting through, which has been very good. So yeah, during that time period, big decrease in pivot theft, and we are down to only one motor vehicle theft as opposed to 10 in the previous year, which is kind of what we've said in the past. It's largely specific to certain groups or certain people. So obviously those groups are in jail right now or diverting their crime techniques to other things, but they're not stealing cars out of Bassano, so that's a win. And lots of kind of proactive patrols for the traffic, impaired deterrence, that sort of stuff over this time frame. Like I say, the motor vehicle collisions are up. However, a lot of that is due to weather, but the fatalities and significant injuries are down. Short of that, we were kind of spooling up busy in June for the community events. We took place in the small town Smoketown in Bassano in the car show. We helped with the rodeo parades, Tilly parades. We're kind of hubbing up with Brooks on that. So lots of fun there and community interaction. And that's been about it so far. Our CSI scores have all been kind of going down a little bit. However, our file counts are going up. A large share of those is, you know, weather-related, summer-related, you know, vehicle, erratic drivers, animals on the highway as they hit out in the farms. That's about it. So that's it for me question-wise. One thing I just thought of while we're here, and it's not speaking to this quarter, but in this format with you guys is Brooks and us, we kind of spearheaded off with the Safe Communities a farm tractor safety day coming up in August 21st. So huge rural community here. And what it is there's been some farm related accidents and collisions, some very significant ones of recently. And so kind of Safe Communities took that initiative and has partnered with Brant Tractor. It's going to be coming out, but we thought, well, we have you guys here. So it's basically on August 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Brant Tractor. A whole host of vendors and community businesses are putting in time and setting up tents to basically invite the entire county to come and participate in tractor safety, what to do around PTOs, road hazards, those sort of things, expose them to the large equipment where the hazard points are, and just kind of give them that kind of general feel around the big equipment. So we feel it's a pretty good initiative. So we wanted to put that out so you can kind of put it out to your delegates and residents to coming up. Any questions on anything else? I'm free to take them.
Thank you for that report. Any questions? Councillor Johnson.
Well, kind of goes back to Sergeant Harms, but you, in your report, Joe, often relate to domestic or calls to in Bassano, and I know it's embedded in your report, but how does that compare to Brooks? Like, are we seeing, is domestic assaults or domestic concerns remaining consistent? Is there a change? You know, because that relates to kind of mental health and all those things. So in both Brooks and Bassano.
I would say, like, the reason I kind of put them in there is, like, when I do the report, I want to count for a bit of our time. So, like, Bassano, largely, yes, by population, we have a lot less files than, say, Brooks. The significance of those files is, you know, out of 200, if 150 of them are, you know, I saw, you know, one of the super trains waving on a windy day down the road, kind of like a nothing file that, you know, is just another thing. Or I see a cow on this side of the fence. No, actually, it was on the other side. Oh, I didn't know. You know, how do we account for our time? But where you get into the lengthier investigations, I will put it in, like, media ban wise, we don't really release any information on it. But I think it's an accountable thing because they're very time consuming domestics. And the threshold for our domestics is kind of gone as, you know, 30, 40 years ago, where it was like, you know, there had to be a physical component to it, that sort of stuff. Basically, if it's a loud enough argument or with a trauma informed or somebody feels there is any kind of abuse, physical, emotional in there, we treat them all the same. And it is a very lengthy investigation time wise for it. I would say, from my time in Brooks and from yours, there are a lot more domestics in Brooks because it goes just by sheer per capita there. And then, you know, and that's how many get reported. So I'm very vague in mine. I'll put, like, you know, 8-10 files of domestic assaults, breaches, and uttering threats, kind of more to leans towards the criminal code investigations we're doing versus, say, patrols or, you know, driving complaints, suspicious people, that sort of stuff, just to account for that time there.
But is it an increase or a decrease or remaining steady, like that component of what's going on?
I would say over our 17, 20 years kind of experiencing, it's an increase. I think more as messaging is going out to the general population, you're seeing an increase in reporting of it. Not near what's going on, but people are more willing to come forward with it because there's, like, measurable actions, and we have such mandatory stringent things on domestics now where the reporting structures is there. So I think we see an increase twofold of people reporting domestic abuse in their household and how we measure it in our statistics. Like it is, so I would say it's an increase of those. It's not happening more, it's just being reported more.
Yeah, that is exactly how I'd sum that up. Is we've done a lot of awareness campaigns on ensuring and encouraging reporting. And then the definition of, basically, we call them spousal files or domestics. The definition of that has been solidified right down to, basically, we call it any disharmony. So it might not be criminal at all, but if we learn or there's something reported that suggests there's disharmony between a couple, i.e. yelling at each other, that gets scored into those domestic files. So Joe is right, like over the years, those numbers have climbed. I don't know where they're at right now. We can most certainly get, you know, a breakdown of that for you. But that is a large part of it, is the definition and, you know, I think better reporting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other, go ahead.
Good to hear about the rural safety thing coming up, and I'm just curious if there might be an opportunity to add a tent in terms of rural crime prevention and the latest and greatest in terms of maybe using cameras. And just in my past experience as the head of an operations department in the oil field through the 2010s, it was absolutely incredible how frustrating it was to get an actual conviction. Like we'd have trail cams and stuff, and you could see the guys, and then they go find them, and something was always insufficient to get a conviction. So I don't know if there's something that can be done. It might also be a draw to get more people to the safety side. If they'd also know that there's going to be a discussion in terms of crime prevention, make it a multi-pronged event if that's possible. It's something to consider. I just, in my past experience, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so we are going to be there for sure. the Safe Communities Unit and our community unit are putting that together. I'm not sure exactly what our package is going to look like, but really good point. So we'll definitely have a discussion with them and make sure that, you know, we're addressing that in one form or another. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see what Kelly was putting together. So we're going to be doing a lot of the crime prevention tips. So which is cameras, the pivot, that's the theft brochures, that sort of thing, which are kind of tailored to it. I will say, I know Brooks, they've been having meetings with that Safe Community for crime prevention with the oil companies directly ongoing, because that's been, I think, I wouldn't say a frustration, but more of a surprise on a lot of these rural well sites and stuff. There isn't a lot of crime prevention techniques there and tools for us to use. And I think as, you know, it's becoming more prevalent that these are getting targeted and probably specifically for those reasons. I think the oil companies are starting to take it a little bit more seriously, just the financial impact of it. And as they lose more cameras and the monitor equipment, that stuff is relatively cheap in the big scheme of things. And that is our best evidence. And yeah, the 2018 video where it looks like you're looking through a beta old VHS tape where it's horrible and grainy and you can maybe make out a head. Now it's just so darn, you know, clear, and the thermal aspects of it. And if they can get alerted from those hits, it certainly helps us in our response to know when things are happening versus, oh yeah, last week when we were here. So I think we're going to definitely be touching on those for that. And we're making it with these body cameras, which again, I always thought would be my career ender. They've turned out quite handy and entertaining sometimes when we watch it. But with that technology, we're making it much easier for people and companies to be able to submit the video they have, because you always get that video, you go to the Ring camera, everybody's staring at their phones, nobody knows how to work anything. Well, we'll wait for dad to come home, he doesn't know how to work it. But now we can send digital links to where they can just send things from their phone straight to our system for us to be able to download. So it's becoming a little bit easier to get that, and so a little bit less frustration. So.
Go ahead, Councillor Johnson.
I just want to compliment you on your rant days, and that's excellent. That's excellent. Do you have enough sponsors?
I think so far it's been a really, like, the businesses have been really receptive to it, and it's a lot of buy-in. So, and we're putting it out to, like, because a lot of the communities around here don't use social media, that sort of stuff. So we're, like, you know, hand delivering our contacts in those areas for them to be able to come out and stuff too. I equate it back to my 4-H days, because I did 1 year of beef cow, lost. It was horrible. And I was like, that's too much work. But we had tractor farm, 4-H farm tractor. And most of that was all around safety and that sort of stuff. So I think there's a lot of, people don't realize the power and size and the space these things need. And it's just a fresh reminder, that sort of thing. So it's, I think it should be a good little initiative. I've never really heard of one being done here before. So I think kind of Brooks is spearheading this one. Should be, hopefully catch fire.
Good. Thank you again for coming in, and as always, appreciate the, Councillor Hofer, I'm sorry, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, how are you advertising that to the community outside in the rural area?
So it's kind of hot off the presses yesterday. The pamphlets are being done, so the Safe Communities people are putting it out on our social media, and then they're printing out pamphlets for all the agricultural sites, post office, that sort of stuff, the old school posters. I reached out through the colony, through the principals and schools, to be able to fan it out to those and my contacts there. I have a large contingent of Mennonite neighbors across from me, and sent it out to their families, and they're sending it through their school district and stuff too. I don't know if there's going to be a radio thing for it or not. I imagine that's planned, but.
Yeah, like, we'll be harnessing all the social media stuff or abilities to get that out. Turns out they're actually out right now, hanging up posters, hand delivering posters, and stuff like that. So any way we can get that word out, we will, for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for the good work you do every day on our behalf, and we appreciate your partnership with us and our opportunity to do what we can to support what you do to keep our communities safe and moving in the right direction. Thank you again sincerely for your efforts on behalf of all of us. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for your time.
Councillor, we might normally take a break at this point, but we are a little overtime for a public hearing that was scheduled for 11:30, but we will carry on at this point. Do we have a motion to move into a public hearing? Councillor Hofer moves. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. With that, are we good to go? Good morning and welcome to this public hearing. Public hearings are held so that the public or anyone who wishes to have input on a particular issue is able to do that in an orderly manner. I will turn the time over at this point to our administrative staff, Mark Harbringt, in place of filling in for some others, and to give us an overview of the matter at hand today, and then there will be an opportunity for public input if that's requested. Go ahead.
Excellent, thank you. The purpose of the application is to close the road allowances that are currently under the existing Snake Lake Reservoir, as well as the undeveloped road allowances that will be impacted by the Snake Lake Reservoir expansion. That's shown on the maps as part of your package. And approval to proceed with the closure and lease was given by Council on December 19th of 2024 under motion C-38324. The subject lands are in Division 4, southeast of Bassano and northwest of Brook, south of Highway 1. All parcels in the area are zoned Agricultural General District. The EID is expanding Snake Lake Reservoir and would like to close and lease road allowances under the existing reservoir as well as those proposed under the expansion. The lands would encompass approximately 20.3 acres under the existing reservoir and 12 acres under the proposed expansion. Approval to proceed was given on December 19th, 2024. The original request was to purchase the lands, however, Council moved to move forward with the closure and lease. The EID did not move forward with formal application until the schedule of fees was amended to exempt the EID from road closure fee for application related to the closure and lease of road allowances for their reservoirs. There was also an amendment made to the road allowance leases. The lease rate for EID reservoirs is $1 for a 99-year term. The application was circulated to internal departments at time of approval to proceed. There were no concerns with the closure and lease of road allowances. The application was circulated to adjacent landowners and required referrals. There were no comments or objections raised by adjacent landowners. TELUS has indicated that they have a cable that crosses the canal in the northwest of 35, 1917 west of the 4th meridian. Their interest will be protected in the lease agreement. This public hearing was advertised in the local newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks and on county social media and website. Information was circulated to adjacent landowners and required referral agencies, and that is the information presented to you today. I am not aware of any notice being received from anybody in writing to the Chief Administrative Officer by July 30th at 4 p.m. So therefore, nobody else in the room. I don't believe there's anybody online that would be commenting because they should probably be present, and we do not have any representatives from the EID present to speak to anything that council may have as questions. So I think this is a pretty straightforward process, being it's been in discussion for quite a period of time.
Yeah, thank you for that. And there aren't, this is to accept public comments, and there's none online. So I think with that, would entertain a motion to move out of the public hearing. Councillor Chrisman, all in favor that we move out of our public hearing? That is carried. Thank you. We are good to carry on. Nobody needs a break right now.
I believe we need a motion with that, right?
We do. We need a motion to move bylaw 2131-26, the road closure and lease for the Snake Lake Reservoir for first reading. Someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor Neil Johnson. Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Let's move on to item number 8.2. That is bylaw 2135-26, the land use agreement for, I have Shanna Lee, are you?
Yeah, you're gonna sit with me.
Okay. Welcome, Shanley.
Thank you. The purpose of this application is to redesignate a parcel from Special Parks and Public Service District to Agricultural General District. Several sections of the land in this area were previously redesignated from Agricultural General to Special Parks and Public Service prior to being donated to the University of Alberta. The subject parcel was included in the land use amendment but was not transferred as part of the donation. The ownership of the parcel was transferred to a private landowner. The subject parcel currently has a dwelling, and the remaining land is used for horses and livestock. The current landowner wishes to construct a new dwelling on the parcel. However, a dwelling is not a permitted or discretionary use within the Special Parks and Public Service District. As a result, they're requesting a land use amendment, and we are recommending that first reading be given for the amendment.
Thank you for that, Shanley. Are there any questions or someone prepared to move first reading? Go ahead, Councillor Holly Johnson.
I'll move first reading with a quick question because I didn't have a chance to look at the big map. How far is this piece off Highway 36? I know it's close, but is it, just curious as to location?
I believe it's noted in there to be...
It's near.
Yeah, 2 kilometers west.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to approve first reading. Any further questions or comments? All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. With that, let's move to item number 8.3, which is bylaw 2137-26, the 2026 Land Use Agreement 008. Lane, go ahead. Thank you.
Three separate planning matters from 3 different individuals.
Yeah.
So obviously Jeff and Maria are away today, and I had told Sean McKay at the landfill that I would just assist with navigating this one through the process. The landfill had acquired lands to the north of the existing facility. They are still zoned agriculture, and the request is for first reading to be given to this bylaw, which would change the designation for those lands from agriculture to industrial. So if there's any questions, this is just to facilitate the development of projects that will be ancillary to the activities that are taking place at the landfill site right now.
Thank you, Lane. Are there any questions, or would we need, following that, is a motion to provide first reading for bylaw 2137-26? Councillor Baumgarten.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very
Lane.
much.
Thank you. I think the only other business we have is to move back in camera. Is there other? Go ahead.
I had a few questions about the payment register that I wanted to ask about.
Okay.
That was under the information item, so that
Right.
is just left.
Okay, go. Let's do that now, and then we'll decide whether we move in camera before lunch or
There were a couple tax refunds I was curious about. Telus got a tax refund of close to $30,000, and a ratepayer got a refund of over $3,000. So I'm just wondering where those kinds of refunds would come from.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Matt. Thanks.
You get one by either you and your spouse both paying your taxes and getting a refund that way, or in corporate TELUS land, if there's an assessment change, you might have a refund there as well. Typically, it comes from dollars we've received that we're not entitled to at the county.
Okay, thanks. A follow-up, and then Councillor Crispin.
I just commented I want to comment as well that the Rural Beautification Tour was apparently extremely popular this year, and I mean there's some money going out as well, and it just kind of reminded me that maybe there's a time we should look at how we can increase the number of applicants or interest in it, since we often don't get many, but people really appreciate it, so how we can kind of blend those two.
Okay. thank you. Is that, do you want, looking for responses now, or is that just kind of rhetorical discussion that we have to try to find ways to?
I think it'd be nice to have a discussion at some point, not today, but talk about how we could maybe, I don't know, I have no wonderful idea. I just think it'd be good to talk about it as a group.
It might, we might ruminate on that when we do our tour in September through the countryside. That might be an opportunity to discuss that, or another time. Councillor Christman, and then.
My question was around the monthly retainer to BAPS, and I value that partnership greatly. Matt, can you just remind me how much that is per animal? Because we are billed on a contract, on a per head basis, right?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, you're drawing from an empty well at the moment, but I can get you a specific response to that. If I'm remembering things right, there's a retainer to have them on standby. You get a certain number of days per animal for that, and beyond that, then there's additional charges, but I can surface that for council's information.
Thank you, just for information.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Neil Johnson, question?
Yeah, just a question. Are we involved in this Tractor Safety Day at all as a county? Because it sure would be a good thing to have a banner up there somewhere.
Go ahead, Matt.
Not a county-led event. I don't know if we've been invited to participate. Safe Communities, you got squeezed out of that with some of the provincial changes on policing. So you're involved to the extent of you help fund Safe Communities to the tune of 20% a year.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Scandrop.
I just had a comment for Holly, for the beautiful communities or whatever. A lot of people are nominated but decline because they don't like the pressure of having to have their lawn mowed for a certain day in the summertime because they're on holiday. So there's usually more that are nominated. They just don't agree. They just don't want to comply. Yeah. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else with regard to information, questions, or anything? If not, I think we didn't complete we have maybe one other item in camera. You want to do lunch first, or you want to do? Okay, let's break for lunch. Thank you.